Hi, I'm Nikki.
And I'm Megan.
Welcome to the Grimdark Diaries.
We're your geek gal pals obsessed with true crime and all things dark and disturbing.
Hi, hello, welcome back, everybody. Megan and I had something very exciting happen this week. Both of us got our vaccines.
Yay!
How are you feeling, Megan?
I feel great now. I had it a couple of days ago and it initially was fine. I was a little tired that afternoon. I had it around 4 p.m. and it was probably like 2 hours later and I was napping on the couch. I had about a 2-hour nap. But then I was fine for the rest of the evening. And then it wasn't until overnight that I had trouble sleeping because my arm hurt so bad. And I got it in my left arm and I am a left side sleeper. I got it in my left arm because it's my non-dominant side. So I was thinking that that would be the best, but then I didn't think about the fact that I sleep on that arm. So of course, overnight, every time I laid on it or touched it or anything happened anywhere near it, I woke up in pain. So I didn't get very much sleep at all on that night. And then the next day, I woke up and I was pretty groggy. I could still feel like the tiredness setting in, but I got up. I had a bunch of work to do. So I did all my work. I had my lunch. And then I was starting to do some work in the afternoon. It was like 1 or 1:30. And the tiredness, the fogginess, lack of focus, it just hit me so hard. I messaged my boss and I was like, I'm so sorry, but if I sit upright for 1 more minute, I am going to pass out at my desk. So I'm just going to go lay down for a little bit. And then I slept from like 1:30 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. So that was good.
Oh, wow.
And even when I woke up, I was still really foggy. Like I couldn't focus. My brain was foggy. I knew that like any talking at all or working would have been useless at that point.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until it was around 9 or 9:30 p.m. where I started to finally like feel the fog lifting. I could actually feel it lifting. And I'm like, oh, I can think clearly again. Well, I guess it's time to go to bed. So I went to bed early that night. And then the next day after that, it was totally fine.
That's good.
Yeah. How about you?
I was perfectly fine.
Oh, okay. Well then.
Yeah. I felt fine afterwards, and then I went to sleep, and when I woke up, my arm was sore, but I am a side sleeper, so I flip back and forth, so I definitely spent some time sleeping on it. When I first woke up, I was like, oh, my arm is sore, and then I heard that like exercise and like moving actually helps it. Mm-hmm. So then I just kind of stretched a bit and like, flailing my arms around a bit and like arm circles and stuff.
Yeah.
And then within like an hour of me being awake, my arm pain went away.
Wow.
And then that afternoon I went for like a 4K run, and then that night I went for like an 8K walk.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and then the next day I also went for a run on my lunch break and another really long walk. So
good for you. Wow,
yeah, I felt
that's
fine.
Amazing. That's amazing. That is definitely like best case scenario that I've ever heard of anyone ever getting the shot and feeling that way.
I was really nervous that I was gonna not feel well, but I felt perfectly fine. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I have a bruise on my arm that's kind of ugly looking, but
you got a bruise?
Yeah, anytime I've gotten blood work, any kind of blood work, I always get a bruise where I get the needle.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know what that is.
That's interesting. I did not get a bruise, but I definitely felt it in the muscle underneath for sure.
Mm-hmm. I found the first day I could notice like kind of something on my arm. If I tried to lift my arm above my head, like if I brought it up past shoulder, that muscle there felt kind of like stiff and tight, just like I kind of like worked out really hard. But then, yeah, by the next afternoon, that was like gone.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The lady who, she basically was one of the pharmacists who sat with us while we were waiting the 15 minutes you have to wait after you get the shot to make sure you're going to be okay. And she was basically telling us the same thing about like moving your arm, and I forget all of the terminology she used, but basically whatever is in those shots kind of seeps down into your hand, and your hand doesn't have any place for it to release. So that's why she said your arms always end up hurting and why you have so much muscle pain. So she always said if that ever happens and you feel your arm, like, because a lot of people mentioned that they get dead arm when they got their shot.
Oh.
And that's one of the reasons why. So when it goes immobile, like barely, you can barely move it or anything like that. She says if you keep your elbow above your heart level and then do like jazz hands with your with your hands and stuff like that.
I know jazz hands.
Move your, yeah, I bet you do, yeah. But if you move your hand around, move your arm around, like the more you move your arm, the less it'll hurt. And the more you move it above your heart level, the less likely you'll get that immobilized feeling as well. So that was really good information to get. Because I had seen two of my friends online talk about how they got the Moderna, because that's the one that I got. And they were talking about how they both got dead arm for a day. And I was like, excuse me, what? What is dead arm and what the hell? So that's when they explained it to me. So when we were waiting with the pharmacist lady, she mentioned that. And she kind of just said, like, if that ever happens, just put your elbow up above your heart level and do your jazz hands and you'll be fine. It just doesn't have anywhere to go. So it has to drain back down into your body, I guess, for it to properly disperse or something like that. Oh. I obviously don't know the terminology, but...
I got the Pfizer, and I feel like it's more of the Gryffindor of the vaccines, so it's the one I wanted. Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. You're gonna name the houses of the...
Yeah, you haven't seen that? People are making, like, TikToks and stuff, and they're naming all the vaccines after different houses, and Pfizer's definitely the Gryffindor.
I did see the picture where it said house, like, Moderna or house Pfizer, but, like, is it the color that's associated? Because if it's the color, the Moderna was green.
No, it's not the color, Megan. It was like a whole spiel of people like broke it down, and they also broke it down into like Pokemon Go factions and stuff. Yeah. Okay. Get with it. Get hip with the kids, Megan.
I don't have TikTok. I was told I was too old to have TikTok, so I've never gotten it.
No one is ever too old to do anything.
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I have no idea what trend that is, but I'd never heard of it. So what's House Moderna? Do you know?
I was only concerned with whatever one was Gryffindor.
Of course, that's
I don't care about the other houses, Megan.
Okay, fine. All right, so if you remember from last week, I rolled the die and got, I think it was a really high number, 17 or something like that.
No, you cheated.
I did not
cheat. You got a 19.
I did not cheat. It did not. Oh, yes, it was 19. You're right. But no cheating. I did not cheat. I had a book on my table and I rolled on top of it. I should have re-rolled, damn it. It was such a good number, though. Anyway, I rolled and I got the category, What's That Smell? This story is such a doozy. Get ready, because I'm diving in.
I'm fully ready.
Okay, perfect. All right. Anthony Edward Sowell was born to Claudia Gertrude Garrison on August 19th, 1959 in East Cleveland, Ohio. His father, Thomas Sowell, was absent during his upbringing. It was not discussed in the household as they were growing up, but for some reason, according to Ramona Davis, who is one of Anthony's cousins, Anthony and his father did not get along. Anthony was described by one of his neighbors, Katie L. Tabb, as someone who she said was the kindest child you would ever want to deal with, and that he was always very respectable. Cavanna Faithwalker, who worked at the Cleveland Museum of Art and also was an artist that knew Anthony, said that Anthony was a shy and skinny kid. Cavanna said, quote, "He was a little quiet and never one to start a conversation. If you said hi, he would say hi back. If you asked a question, he would answer it. He was friendly, sort of, in that he would smile whenever I looked in his direction." End quote. Along with Anthony's half-sister, his mother Claudia Benson Garrison, and his maternal grandmother Irene Justice, he also lived with 7 other cousins in their home at 1878 Page Avenue in East Cleveland, who moved in with the Sowells after their mother had passed away. This is a lot of people living under one roof. Tensions were bound to get high at home. Along with being without a father to help raise him growing up, Anthony sadly also witnessed abuse in his childhood home. There is a trigger warning here for children who are being abused. So if that is not your thing, you can skip forward. 2 of Anthony's cousins, Ramona and Leona Davis, who are twins, said later in an interview that there was an adult in the home that would force the 2 of them to strip completely naked, tie them up, and then beat them, often with electrical extension cords. The twin girls would also go on to say that Anthony was never beaten, but he would often watch them happening. Anthony was super shy and nice outside of the home, but in the home, as he grew up, he would become a bit troublesome. There was a time that Leona remembered that Anthony would drink his grandmother's Pepsi out of the fridge or start a fight with someone in the house and always blamed Leona, who would be the one to get punished.
Kids always do stuff like that, though.
It's so true.
Kids don't want to get in trouble. They'll blame anybody.
Exactly. That's kind of my thought as well. Anthony used to walk to school, and when he got to be in high school, acquaintances that went to school with him would make fun of him for that because his family wasn't able to afford a car for him to drive. They also made fun of him for not being a ladies' man and was teased about being a virgin and just about anything in general.
In high school?
Exactly.
Kids are mean. I hate kids.
I know. I completely agree. I am so glad that we're at a high school. But according to Leona Davis, Anthony was no virgin. And this is going to be another trigger warning, and this time it is for young children and rape. Often at the house on Page Avenue, where they grew up together, he would bring her upstairs to a bedroom and raped her. They were only preteens when this started. She said that he did this almost every single day. Leona had numerous times tried to report the rapes to the authorities, but no one would believe her story. Leona believes that if they had believed her at the time, then what happens next in this story might not have happened. We will get there, but just not yet.
I don't understand. She went to the police and the police didn't believe her?
The police did not believe her story.
Why would you not believe a kid that said that?
I don't know. There wasn't any more to that story other than the fact that they didn't believe her. And this is her testimony, so I don't know what went on in that story to bring all this on. So on January 24th, 1978, Anthony Sowell, who had signed up for the Marines, reported for duty at boot camp, which was located in Parris Island, South Carolina, when he was just 18 years old. Anthony hadn't graduated high school. He didn't have enough credits. It was also later discovered that he had made a student who went to Shaw High School pregnant. 8.5 months after he joined the Marines, this girl would give birth to a baby girl. We don't know much else about this child, so we suspect Anthony doesn't have much, if any, involvement with her after this. During his time in the Marine Corps, there isn't much known about what Anthony had done there. On April 24th, 1978, he had reported to the North Carolina's Camp Lejeune for the 22-day basic combat training course. If there is one thing that we do know for certain, it was the training he received made him a walking and talking trained weapon. Also during his time at the camp, he was taught electrical wiring. Once completed, he was sent to the Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point in Havelock, North Carolina to work as an electrician. Anthony was sent to the Pacific for a year-long posting. 5 months after he returned to Cherry Point, in September of 1981, Anthony was married to fellow Marine Kim Yvette Lawson. This ceremony was a civil one that was performed by a magistrate in a historic courthouse in New Bern, North Carolina, when he was just 22 years old.
How old was she?
It didn't actually say. There was no reports anywhere that said how old she was, so I assume roughly around the same age, but there were no reports about her age. I did look too, because I was very curious. Kim had told her mother, Norma Lawson, that she only married him because she wanted to help him. He was starting to drink excessively, and she didn't want him to get a dishonorable discharge. She was just trying to get him through the Marine Corps. In 1985, Kim got out of the Marine Corps herself and then immediately divorced Anthony. After Anthony had been posted at Camp Butler in Okinawa, Japan, Anthony went back to Camp Pendleton, California on January 15th, 1985, then promptly left the Marine Corps himself, which he had been in for 7 years at this time. Allegedly, Anthony was reported to have gone AWOL in the Marines for 2 months at one point. However, he still departed as a sergeant who had been given a lot of praise for his time there. He received a Rifle Sharpshooter Award, a Good Conduct Medal, a Certificate of Commendation, and 2 letters of appreciation. Once he returned home, 25-year-old Anthony Sowell moved back to his Page Avenue residence, where he would start picking up his excessive drinking habit again. And after a few years, he would also start increasing the length of his arrest sheet. As a side note, in 1998, Anthony's ex-wife, Kim, passed away while Anthony was serving time in an Ohio penitentiary. There are no reports on how she died, and there are also reports now that Anthony was ducking father responsibilities of a 7-year-old daughter he had.
Why was he in prison?
It didn't say why he was in prison, but it was likely due to the fact of his excessive drinking, and when he drank, he got violent. So it could be a fight, assault. There was many things, and I do go into that in a bit. He found the bottle of alcohol and would later tell psychological evaluators that it was nothing for him to have about 6 drinks a day in this period of his life. He would say that he was having family problems at home, and while he was drinking, there was definite increased aggressiveness. In 1988, that aggression got him into trouble when he was arrested for domestic violence and ended up serving 8 days in jail, according to the East Cleveland Police. Also in 1988, Anthony was charged with possessing dangerous drugs, which are unknown as they weren't listed specifically. Other charges that can be seen on his arrest sheet from 1986 to 1989 included disorderly conduct charges, DUIs, and public drunkenness. Sadly, these records are incomplete, and so that makes it nearly impossible to see what the outcomes of those cases were. The area that he had grown up in had been a nice middle-class area. After he came back from the Marine Corps, the Page Avenue home he lived in as a child was now below the poverty level, and the city finances had crumbled into shambles. Now the area was inundated by crack, which is a crystal form of cocaine that can be smoked, and it was everywhere in the USA urban areas in 1985. Sadly, this also raised the crime rates. Crime may have gone up in the area with drugs and who knows what else, but on top of that, now there was a suspected murderer on the loose. 3 female bodies were found dead near Anthony's Page Avenue home. 2 of these women were suspected drug users. In May 1988, when the body of Rosalind Garner, a 36-year-old woman, was found dead from being strangled in her home on Hayden Avenue. Then on February 27, 1989, Carmela Karen Prater, who was a 27-year-old suspected drug user, was found dead, cause unknown, within an abandoned home on First Avenue, which is just off of Hayden Avenue. And 1 month later, on March 28, 1989, Mary Thomas, who was a 27-year-old suspected drug user, was found dead near an abandoned building off of First Avenue. She was strangled to death, and the red ribbon that was used to do it was still wrapped around her neck. About 4 months after it came out in the news that Mary Thomas was dead, strangled to death, a 21-year-old woman who was 3 months pregnant went to the police to tell them her story. She said that on July 22, 1989, Anthony and this woman met at a motel at Euclid Avenue and Lee Road. This woman has a criminal drug use record and was afraid that the police would arrest her instead, so she didn't want to come forward right away. Anthony had told this woman that her boyfriend was waiting for her at his house, which was only about 500 yards away. Sadly, her boyfriend wasn't there when she got there. This is trigger warning for abuse and rape towards a woman. She reports that Anthony threw her down on a bed, choked, and raped her.
So wait, did she go to his house, or this is at the motel?
She went to his house, yeah.
Okay.
He told her that her boyfriend was waiting for her at his house.
So then she went there.
Then she went there with him, yeah. So she reports that Anthony threw her down on a bed, choked and raped her time and time again. He bound her hands with a tie, like a necktie, when she tried to leave, and strapped a belt around her feet, and then ended the bondage with a rag stuffed into her mouth. Anthony had been drinking, so soon after he fell asleep. When he did do that, she was able to get herself free and escaped out a window. Anthony was indicted by a grand jury in this case, because she obviously went to the police.
Yeah.
But he didn't show up for his court date. So on December 8th, 1989, an arrest warrant was issued by the court. It would be 7 months later and only 4 miles away when another woman would come forward and say Anthony raped her as well. It supposedly happened at 1 a.m. on Sunday, June 24th, 1990. The 31-year-old woman told police that she ended up going to a house on East 71st Street in Cleveland. She said that she and Anthony ended up sitting beside each other on a love seat and started drinking together. Again, this is more trigger warning for abuse and rape. Anthony then got up, went behind this woman, and started choking her. He started saying some extremely obscene sexual things to her about how and where he would violate her, and then announcing that, quote, she was his bitch and she had better learn to like it, end quote. The reports then say that he dragged her up the stairs by her neck and then proceeded to rape her. She had begged him to stop and said that she was 5 months pregnant. He did not stop. In fact, according to police reports, he then forced her to say, yes, sir, I like it.
What a monster.
So awful. After Anthony fell asleep, this woman was able to leave the house. Around 8 a.m. the following morning, she returned with police in tow. He was still sleeping. Anthony was arrested that morning. However, charges were never filed. Police advised that the woman could not be found to testify. Luckily, though, the police finally had their man in the July 1989 rape case. Anthony was a sitting duck awaiting trial in jail on those charges. Eventually, he would plead guilty of attempted rape, which was sadly a lesser charge. On September 12, 1990, Judge James P. Kilbane sentenced Anthony Sowell to 5 to 15 years in prison. Only 8 days after this, he was sent to the Ohio Departure of Rehabilitation and Corrections Prison in Lorain, Ohio. Anthony was now 31 years old.
Jeez, that's a lot of horrible life to live before.
Very much so.
Your mid-30s.
Right? I can't even imagine living through what he lived through.
You mean doing
what he did, living what he lived through as a child and then an adult and doing the things that he did, which is horrific. In the time that Anthony was in prison, he was transferred to 4 different Ohio penitentiaries. Anthony was considered to be a model prisoner. However, due to the violence of his crime, he was never granted release any earlier than his maximum sentence of 15 years. During his stay in prison, he would find out that his father, Thomas Sowell, died in 2002.
But didn't he? I thought you said his dad didn't really raise him.
He didn't. There's really no bearing of that in this story whatsoever. But I feel like in a way it would affect him. Like if his father wasn't ever going to be a part of his life growing up, there may have always been a little bit of glimmer of hope that he might be able to be a part of his life later on. But then finding out that he's dead, there's obviously never going to be that kind of hope. So I feel like that does have some semblance of a something in his brain for what happens next. While in prison, Anthony did end up getting his high school education on September 17th, 2002. He also had given up alcohol and other intoxicants he may have been using. On June 20th, 2005, at 45 years old, Anthony Sowell was now a free man, although he did have to now register as a sex offender and also report to the sheriff's office once a year. He ended up renting out a space in the home of his late father's widow, Sigourney Sowell, at 12205 Imperial Avenue on Cleveland's Mount Pleasant neighborhood. He completed a program for ex-cons that was offered by the Towards Employment nonprofit agency, and he even started dating again. Tanya Doss was a 43-year-old woman who was involved with Anthony for a short time. She recounts that he didn't use drugs, but he did drink beer from time to time. He also played chess and barbecued.
Did she know he was an ex-con?
She did. He told her that he took a guilty sentence for crimes that he didn't commit. He did it for somebody else, he said. She knew that he had been in jail, but thought he was doing it out of the kindness of his heart.
Interesting.
Yes.
I don't think anyone's that kind.
I don't either.
Years.
Nope. I would believe that they are a pathological liar. Trust nothing. Not long after this, Anthony would start dating Lori Frazier, who would end up moving in with him in his Imperial Avenue home. Tanya was told she couldn't come by anymore because he has a new woman now.
Poor Tanya.
I know, right?
Listen, Tanya, girl, he wasn't good anyway, so he did you a favor.
Exactly. 100%. Lori was Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson's niece. By March 2006, Anthony had a stable job working as a rubber molder at Custom Rubber Corp on East 55th Street in Cleveland. He was said to be a very good employee, according to the company's president, Charlie Braun. Once 2007 hit, however, Anthony's work and personal life started to take a downward slope, and women near his home would start going missing. In 2007, Anthony and Lori would end their near 3-year relationship. In July 2007, Anthony didn't go to work for 2 days straight, so his boss fired him. Around the same time, in May or June 2007, it was said that the first woman around Imperial Avenue, Crystal Dozier, would go missing. Also in June 2007, one of Anthony's neighbors would call Councilman Zach Reed and complained about the smell of decaying flesh. The smell only got stronger and stronger, and then more and more women went missing.
How did that person know what decaying flesh smells like?
That's a really good question. I would also like to know that.
If you smelled a bad smell, wouldn't you be like, yo, my neighbor's got some like garbage or something, or they got some rotten food? I wouldn't be like, oh, that's decaying flesh.
Decaying flesh, it's so true.
I feel like then that would raise more questions about the neighbor as well.
Yeah.
Be like, yo, why do you know what that smells like?
Exactly. And yeah, that's definitely way more specific than I would expect anyone to be complaining about a strong smell in an area.
So wait, this is still the house that his dad's partner lived in?
Yes. So this house is like a 2.5-story home with a bunch of different rooms in it. So he was renting out a room in this house.
Okay.
So it had a couple other tenants and the landlady who would be his father's.
Oh, so it's like a house with apartments in
Exactly, yeah. So the landlady was his father's widowed wife. Apparently, Anthony Sowell started smoking crack cocaine very shortly after his release in 2005. By 2007, Tanya Doss said that Anthony had a gaunt look about him that is typical of a chronic crack abuser. And by 2009, she said she smoked crack with him as well as drinking, which is a dangerous combination linked by medical studies to aggression. It would be in 2009 that things would get dicier for Anthony. 2 more women went to the police to tell their stories of abuse at the hands of Anthony Sowell. Tanya Doss was one of these women. She said that in April 21st, 2009, Anthony attacked her. I'm just going to give like an overall trigger warning for more abuse and rape, sadly.
So wait, this is the girl that he broke up with for the other girl?
Yes, exactly.
So was she going to the...
They ended up staying friends, so she would still go over to his house to drink beer, smoke crack. Not crap.
Smoke crap.
Smoke crack.
Oh, so this didn't happen when they were dating?
No, not when they're dating, in 2009. So this was 2 years after. Tanya Doss and Anthony started dating in 2005 after he got out of jail. And then they broke up when he started dating Lori, which was in 2007. And then by late 2009, this is when the stuff started to happen. But in the meantime, he stayed friends with Tanya. And she was one of the regulars who came over to drink beer and play chess and barbecue and all that stuff.
Smoke crap.
Smoke crap. Excuse my miss.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think it's crap. And another woman who used to live in the Imperial Avenue home, this time a 36-year-old, reported that on September 22nd, 2009, Anthony had raped her. It was noted then that Anthony would lure women into his home with drugs or alcohol, usually women who were drug users with a criminal past. These encounters were always with the prospect of fun and play to begin with. However, when the alcohol and drugs ran out, or if Anthony was asked a question that he did not like, things would turn violent. When it came to Tanya, she said that he slapped her and choked her, then forced her to get naked just because he ran out of crack. She then curled up in a bed, and then he eventually left her alone. In the case on September 22nd, this is the other woman, she made the mistake of asking him about a woman she had heard about who accused him of attacking her. This made Anthony rage, and so he ended up raping her while also wrapping an electrical extension cord around her neck and tightening it so much that she passed out. When both of these attacks were done, Anthony became unusually calm. He would then offer them food or money and then let them leave. Apparently, these are traits that perfectly describe the FBI profile of sexually sadistic serial killers. Along with this telltale sign is a growing appetite for violence. So residents in the area of the Imperial Avenue home complained for years.
Okay, wait. So those 2 women went to the police.
Those 2 women went to the police.
And he's registered as a sex offender, so why did they not go arrest him?
They did. Yep, I'm getting to that.
Oh.
So I just wanted to bring in this piece here because it just kind of like solidifies that smell in the area. My category is what's that smell, Nikki?
I'm just asking questions.
I know.
If I have questions, then maybe the listeners have questions.
It's true. And it does happen, so I will get there. 1 second. Just 1 minute. So residents in the area of the Imperial Avenue home complained for years about an overpowering odor that came from the 57-year-old sausage shop. There was a sausage shop that was in this area.
That's not a euphemism. There was an actual sausage
shop.
sausage.
They actually sold sausages. I don't know who would want to buy sausages if it smelled that bad, but... And apparently they had the food inspector go in there every single year, and they always passed with flying colors, and I don't know how that happened.
Did you just say lying colors?
Flying. The F might have got drowned out. I don't know. Lying colors, yes. I mean, that could have been the case, too.
That's the only other way to pass a health inspection if you're not up to code.
It's so true. Oh, it's funny. So This 57-year-old sausage shop that was at 12205 Imperial Avenue, the drain pipes were flushed and even a sewer line had been replaced, but the smell was still lingering in the air. Nothing was done about the smell, at least not until October 2009. So after this woman who was attacked on September 22nd went to the police, on October 29th, 2009, police arrived at Anthony's home with a warrant to arrest him for the alleged rape that occurred on September 22nd. Anthony wasn't home, however. When the police checked inside, they found 2 dead bodies on the floor in the living room. Just laying there.
Just real casual.
Just chilling, yep.
Like fresh dead bodies or like rotting dead bodies?
They were fresh. Dead bodies. 2 days later, he was finally found and arrested. I don't know where he had been for the 2 days, but 2 days he evaded
Grabbing
the police.
a sausage at the sausage
As
shop.
you do, yes, when you are evading the police that are surrounding that area. The bodies of 4 other women were then found inside the home. One had been buried in a shallow grave in the basement, and more were stuffed in crawl spaces around the house.
Weren't people living in this house?
Yes. There were people living in this house. Did they not
smell the smell?
I just don't understand. Maybe it was the amount of drugs that they were doing, or maybe they were just
I'm pretty sure
denial.
your nose still works when you're doing drugs.
Or you just get used to it. I know people who worked at a garbage factory and they got used to the smell. I don't know.
I find that does, when you like been home for a really long time and then you go somewhere and then you come back and you're like, oh my God, my garbage is stinky. But you didn't notice because you were like living in your own filth all day.
Right. Which we're noticing way more these days when we're home.
Yeah, we're not allowed to go anywhere.
That's right. So we're literally living in our own stench and we don't even know it.
No.
It's true. It happens. So, I mean, maybe that might have been the case. I really am not sure. Yeah. I mean, there were the neighbors who were complaining as well about the smell. So I don't know if that was neighbors within the house or if they were neighbors beside the house or whatever the case may be. But in any case, now we know where the smell came from. The police then dug up the backyard, only to find 3 more bodies, as well as the remains of a 4th. There was even a human skull found in a bucket inside the house, which brought the body count now to 11.
Nobody saw any of this?
He's
burying bodies and stuffing bodies?
Other than, unless they were hiding it for him as well. I don't know. Nothing ever came up about that, but I feel like this is one of those areas where if drugs and alcohol were very prevalent, then a lot of people would like turn a blind eye or they would
Snitches get stitches.
That's true, yes. We all know that that's a thing. Anthony was given the nickname the Cleveland Strangler for his crimes of murdering these 11 women. Anthony Sowell was 50 years old when he was finally arrested and charged with 11 counts of aggravated murder and over 70 counts of rape, kidnapping, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a corpse. He was held on a $6 million bond, which is insanity, but I'm so glad it was so high. Anthony pled not guilty by reason of insanity, but then changed his plea later to simply not guilty. On July 22nd, 2011, he was finally convicted on all but 2 counts against him, which did include the 11 murders of the 11 women, thankfully. And on August 10th, the jury recommended the death penalty for him. On August 12th, Judge Dick Ambrose agreed and sentenced him to death. Anthony Sowell was initially scheduled to be executed on October 29, 2012. However, a motion for stay of execution was filed and then granted. Anthony had new lawyers, and they tried to appeal his conviction and death sentence. They believe that Anthony did not receive a fair trial due to the extensive media coverage, also that the courtroom had been closed to the public during an evidentiary hearing and while a jury was picked, as well as the fact that he had received lousy legal representation. On December 8, 2016, the Ohio Supreme Court rejected the appeal from Anthony Sowell, advising that his aggravated murder convictions and death sentence were sticking. In May 2017, Anthony appealed his case to the U.S. Supreme Court, but in October 2017, the U.S. Supreme Court said that it would not review Anthony's appeal, and he was scheduled to be executed on Wednesday, November 18, 2020. On December 6, 2011, the house at 12205 Imperial Avenue was demolished. Anthony was transferred to the end-of-life care unit at the Franklin Medical Center in Columbus on January 21, 2021, due to a terminal illness he had. It was likely due to the COVID-19 pandemic that Anthony Sowell was still alive on death row. However, on February 8th, 2021, Anthony Sowell died from his terminal illness at the age of 61. I'm just going to end this story here by taking a quick moment to mention the names of the 11 victims, their age, and the date that they died. So Crystal Dozier was the first woman who was found and who was missing. She was 38 years old, and she died on May 2007. Tashana Culver was 31 years old and died June 2008. Lashanda Long was 25 years old and died August 2008. Michelle Mason was 45 years old and died October 2008. Tanya Carmichael was 53 years old and died December 2008. Nancy Cobb was 43 years old and died April 2009. Imelda Hunter was 47 years old and also died in April 2009. Talacia Fortson was 31 years old and she died June 2009. Janice Weber was 49 and died June 2009. Kim Yvette Smith was 44 years old and died July 2009. And Diane Turner was 38 years old, who died September 2009, 1 month before he was arrested. And that is the story of Anthony Sowell.
That was wild.
That was wild.
I can't believe he did that many murders and didn't get caught for that long.
I can't believe it either, especially with all of them being in the house or around the house, buried in the backyard, cubbies, shallow graves. Like, unbelievable.
It would have benefited if he had some nosier neighbors. Well, I guess people did call, and I'm assuming nobody did anything about it. Otherwise, they would have found something.
Yeah, well, they thought it was... I don't think that they realized what the smell was or where it came from, because other than that one guy who called about decaying flesh, but they did drain the pipes, like the sewer pipes, and they did all this work thinking that that was going to help the smell, but then they kind of all just chalked it up to the sausage factory.
That poor... You know what? That sausage factory guy probably is now like, I told you people, my meat smelled great.
And he passed all of his food inspections and everything. Like, he was doing...
getting a bad rap at the sausage shop because of Buddy over here has dead bodies in the backyard.
Exactly.
Poor Mr. Sausage Man.
He was doing his best with what he had. Yeah, I couldn't believe how many people that he was able to murder and no one said anything. Like, I have to assume, especially when murders happen in such a crime of passion and people are living in the same building or in the same area or were at the same party or whatever the case may be, people were just turning a blind eye, in my personal opinion. I feel like there were definitely people who would have wondered or noticed people were missing or whatever the case may be.
But you said that people did get reported missing.
People did get reported missing, yeah, by their families.
Yeah.
So their families were the ones who reported them missing because they hadn't heard from them. Or if they were lost in the ways of drug addiction and whatnot, then they were kind of already missing a little bit. They may not have had communication with their families. So it's kind of sad, to be honest with you, that he took advantage of those kind of people who really had lost their way in life. And they really just wanted to party and get more drugs or get more alcohol, whatever the case may be. And he used that against them to bring them into his home and abuse them and then murder them, which is really sad. So that's the story. And they did demolish that house, which is good. A lot of the neighbors were extremely satisfied with that outcome because you can't really walk by that house without thinking about what it stood for at the end of it, right?
No, nobody'd want to buy that.
No. The resale would be difficult for sure.
I don't know, maybe this year in this market they might have been able to resell it.
That's fair. This market has been insane. I think it's been this way in so many different places too. It's not even just here, I've heard.
No, it's across the country, and I'm pretty sure in a lot of places in the US as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Or so the internet tells me, and it's never wrong.
No, the internet is always correct in everything that we've ever read on it.
It better be. That's where I do all my research.
That's right, exactly. That's where I do all mine too.
Well, it is my turn to roll this week.
Heck yeah, it is. No cheating, Nikki. I don't know who would cheat in this.
Bro, I am not a cheater. Although I don't have a hard table in front of me. I'm rolling this on my laptop, so I don't know if it's going to make a noise.
Lies.
Oh, it's on the floor. Oh.
I did hear that actually the whole way down. It sounded like Plinko.
Okay, I can't reach it. Un momento.
Okay. Okay, rolling again.
No, I'm not rolling again. That floor roll was good.
Oh, what was it?
A 16, which is liar, liar, pants on fire.
Excellent. Okay. Is it going to
If
be a
I've
story about a
learned-
liar or someone
Yeah,
whose
if I've
pants...
learned anything about crime, people lie a lot.
I feel like that applies to literally almost every single story.
Yeah.
So their pants better be on fire too, Missy.
Yeah, maybe instead of looking for one where somebody lied, I'll look for one where somebody's pants were on fire.
Take an actual literal term out of it.
Yeah, probably not, but I
No.
mean, we'll see. We'll see next week. Tune in next week to see if somebody's pants are on fire.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to tune in. Oh, wait, I'm recording.
Yeah. You better tune in. If you guys want to follow us on social media, you can find us at the Grimdark Diaries on Instagram and Facebook, or if you're on Twitter, we are just Grimdark Diaries on there with no the. You can send us Gmails, tell us about your favorite sausage shops, and we are thegrimdarkdiaries@gmail.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode and we hope you like us. And if you do, we would appreciate if you could follow or subscribe on whatever you listen to. And especially if you are an Apple user, if you can give us a 5-star rating and comment on the podcast there, that helps us out a lot. We want to be able to get enough ratings that we appear on some of those like sweet search pages, because the more people that listen, the better. Somehow.
That's right.
It'll benefit us eventually.
That's how those algorithms work.
Yeah. And that's when we then take over the world and you'll all be there with us and you'll love it and it'll be great.
So I'll take over the world together.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's not sinister at all. It's fine.
No. We don't ever mean anything sinister on the Grimdark Diaries.
No, we're going to take it over in like a positive way.
That's right.
Like you're bringing back something, unite hands across the world.
I love
Kumbaya. I'm not sure.
I love it.
So make sure you tune in next week to see what I come up with for Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire. And remember, a friend in the dark beats alone in the light.